I am Dolly Sharma, your host for today's session and regulatory practice lead at Tata Elxsi. Tata Elxsi is a global leader in design and technology services, founded in 1989 and part of esteemed Tata Group. Tata Elxsi integrates digital technology and design to create transformative customer experience and drive business growth with expertise spanning across industries such as automotive, broadcast, communication, healthcare, and transportation. We leverage cutting edge technologies including IoT, cloud, mobility, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence to help clients reimagine their products and services through design thinking and innovation. It's a pleasure to have you join us for episode 2 of PFAS webinar series. Strategic approaches to PFAS compliance, testing, and supply management. In episode 1, we explored what PFAS are, their global regulatory implications, and how they are shaking up medical device sector. We had a fantastic participation and some pressing questions that revealed just how critical this topic is for any industry. Today, we are taking a deep dive into what comes next, how to identify, test, and transition away from PFAS in your products. Meanwhile, managing your suppliers and aligning with evolving global regulations. We'll also explore how Tata Elxsi's Gen AI platform, named Vital, is making this journey faster, smarter, and more auditable. To walk us through these complex topics, we have three exceptional panelists. Hazardous Material Senior Technical Specialist from Jaguar Land Rover, Matt Griffin. Regulatory Manager from RRC Power Solutions, Thomas Newman. And Senior Engineering Manager from Dragar, Ganesh Munges. Each bringing their unique approach to PFAS elimination and compliance. Now I would request the panelists to introduce themselves. We can start with you, Matthew.
Yes, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Yeah, I'm Matthew Griffin. I'm Senior Technical Specialist in Hazardous Materials Compliance for Jaguar Land Rover. And I'm responsible for material compliance of all the products that we place on the markets globally. So every vehicle, every service part that we sell in all of our markets needs to comply with material and substance regulations. And it's my job to ensure that we do.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. Thomas, you can go next.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Thomas Neumann. I have been with RSC Power Solutions since 2014. I'm responsible for overseeing all topics related to material compliance, including, of course, PFAS. Within our organization, PFAS has become an increasingly prominent issue over the past few years. So regarding PFAS, my work focus is currently clustered in three main areas. So the first is the gathering of PFAS relevant information across our supply chain. The second is managing and responding to any findings that may emerge in our products. The third one is to raising the awareness within the supply chain and help our partners to understand the evolving regulatory landscape and its applications. So we also receive a growing number of inquiries from customers who are under pressure to understand and demonstrate PFAS compliance. And in our role, I try to provide a clear, reliable answer to reflect both the regulatory expectations and our own internal risk management assessment. So I look forward to today's discussion and to learn from the other panelists. I hope to contribute some practical insights.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Ganesh.
Dolly. Thank you, Thomas. I'm Ganesh. I'm Senior Engineering Manager at Dragar. It's almost with over 20 years of experience in medical product design and development. I'm leading cross-functional engineering teams for new product development as well as sustenance engineering. So at our core, we drive to protect, support, and save lives at Dragar. So compliance is the most important part. So as PFAS compliance, it looks to be really a technically complex and critically important for future of our products across industries. Knowing its importance, I would like to discuss with you all on the diverse insights from your industry, and as well as I would like to share some of my experience from healthcare industry. I'm looking forward to discuss more on this topic with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ganesh. So let's begin. So I'll start off with a very basic question addressing to all of you, that given the increasing regulatory scrutiny surrounding PFAS, what do you see as the most significant challenges and opportunities for your industry in managing PFAS compliance and transitioning to PFAS-free materials? So this question is addressed to all three of you. You can pitch in.
So, shall I go first? I don't want to talk over anyone, but okay, I'll go first. I mean, the PFAS compliance topic is a huge topic in the automotive industry. We use extensive PFAS materials, from fluoropolymers, fluoroelastomers, to the refrigerant gases that we've got in our vehicle aircon systems. And it's the sheer size, the magnitude of the PFAS restriction that makes it extremely challenging for us to meet those requirements. So we need to have a good handle on all the parts that contain PFAS, the numbers, the amounts, where we're getting them, where the suppliers are using them, why the suppliers are using PFAS materials. And once we establish where and why they're being used, then the journey begins to identify substitutes. And we don't use PFAS, just because they're PFAS materials. They have really important chemical characteristics that we take advantage of in the engineering and design of our products. So these fulfill, quite rigorous environmental exposure, high temperature, chemical compatibility, compliance with extreme pressures, there's lubrication requirements. There's a whole host of technical properties that the PFAS materials provide in our industry, and finding alternatives for those is extremely challenging, particularly when we need a combination of these properties. And yes, it's the journey that we're on with our suppliers to make them aware, to explore those possibilities, those substitutes with them, and understand, the timeline for delivery.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's a very extensive answer, Matt. Thomas, Ganesh, do you want to pitch in?
Yeah, I can also report from my point of view. So from our perspective in the electronic sector, specifically for batteries and charging systems, one of the biggest challenges is the lack of transparency in the complex supply chain. So products are really complex. So we have a complex bill of material, and you have not all, and sometimes PFAS can show up in unexpected places, like coatings, adhesives, and something like this. Mm-hmm. So, and this is often not clearly declared. So, practically speaking, that means we need to actively engage suppliers, and sometimes even do our own testing, which takes time and resources on our side. But we also see progress, so the awareness is growing in the supply chain, but there's a lot of work, especially if you get deeper in the supply chain and not asking at the first level. So I think that is one of the most challenges with PFAS currently. So this and the communication through the whole supply chain.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so basically gathering data from the suppliers itself is a pain for all the manufacturers that we see, because we have been interacting to a lot of companies who are facing these challenges. And secondly, like Thomas, you rightly said that the complex products, the bill of materials are not very simple, and you need to dig down into the deeper layers of it, and different materials coming from different tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, and that is how you need to bring in the information, and then you come to a conclusion whether PFAS is present or not. However, there is one more challenge if the PFAS is not being used in product, but in the process of the manufacturing. So you don't have it in the bill of material. So you need to dig deeper into the process and then find out whether PFAS is present or not. So this is just I am adding to the challenges that companies are facing. Ganesh, do you have any point to add in over here?
Yeah. So I see it as a multidisciplinary challenge, like what you added, mentioned, and it starts from, or if we have to touch the compliance part and to ensure its compliance, it is from design, supply chain, and also the sustenance. So
Yes.
which are connected to materials, but not just limited to materials. It's also, as you mentioned, it's also process of developing it. So yeah,
Yes.
so it needs a multidisciplinary approach to address these challenges.
Sure. So, moving ahead, if we start with detection, Thomas, I might ask you in RRC Power Solutions, you've taken commendable steps in complying to various substance of concerns, regulations, and restriction in its production process. Given the complexity of your components, can you just explain how did you navigate the challenges of identifying and quantifying PFAS across the multiple materials and subassemblies?
Yes, of course. So it's true that detecting and quantifying of PFAS is particularly challenging in our industry. So especially with the complexity of our components and the assemblies and sub-assemblies. So our approach currently is structured around three key pillars. So first of all is the supply chain communication. We developed targeted requests and declarations specifically focused on PFAS, so which we integrated in our existing material compliance workflows. So we focused and prioritized on the high-risk materials such as plastics, coatings, adhesives, and something else, and reach out to suppliers with clear questions. So not just standard compliance templates, we addressed to them clear questions and clear communication. Second one is the data validation. That's sometimes really much effort. So whenever we encounter gaps, conflicting information, or suspected findings, we initiate a deeper review. So that may include follow-ups, documentation requests, or specific cases and analytic details. So that's really time intensive and really difficult sometimes. Last but not least is our internal coordination. Since PFAS may not always be intentionally added, we have had to work closely with our R&D department and the procurement team to map the material usage and identify potential indirect sources, especially in legacy components. So because this indirect sources are difficult to track and to trace. So overall, it's not a one-time effort. That's fully clear, but it's more an ongoing process of risk mapping and deduction, supplier engagement. And we will definitely not try to test everything, but rather to build a defensible and risk-based strategy to help us on focus resources where it matters most, to find a way which really works in the real world.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, Thomas, and you have highlighted a very crucial point that it is not a one-time process.
Yeah.
You need to embed the process into your, day-to-day lives in such a way that whenever you are designing a product or selecting a material, you have to be abreast of, what material you are selecting, whether it is compliant, not compliant, and not only
Right, yeah.
PFAS, it can be other material of concern also.
That's
So
right.
very
PFAS is not only regulation, so there are more
yes,
substances
yes.
than PFAS.
Yes. And secondly, like you highlighted that PFAS may not be always intentionally added. It can sometimes be
That's right. Yeah.
unintentionally added through a process or something.
Yeah.
So, I would just like to add from the medical device perspective, especially those products with polymers and specialized coatings, it's often difficult to determine whether PFAS is present or not.
Mhm.
So that is why at Tata Elxsi we have our PFAS detection services. And these services are customized for medtech customers. And they are also backed by the Gen AI-led platform that I discussed earlier, named Vital. Our Gen AI material identification platform, it accelerates the process, it classifies the chemical profiles, it also flags the risk and ensures no blind spot in your test coverage. Or it also gives you some pointers on where testing is required and where without testing also you can determine whether PFAS is present or not. So moving ahead to this, Ganesh, I would like to ask you that Drager's move to fluorine-free firefighting foams was an industry-leading shift. What testing approaches did you rely on to ensure your new solution met both safety and environmental standards?
Yeah. So at Dragger, we have specialized a focus group. Okay. Take care of all the material selections or the compliances. And in that also there is a subgroup which really focuses on compliance and the upcoming challenges or upcoming regulatory compliance requirements. And PFAS has been one of the focus for a few years for them. And they started with a screening process of identifying the potential materials or the components of the devices in use or which are already getting produced, and also the risk assessment of those and prioritize those. So after prioritizing, it's really required to understand uh, what exactly is the matter of concern, whether it's material or process, as we mentioned earlier. And then looking at the supplier understanding of it, or working through the suppliers declarations, the understanding of suppliers at supplier level, what kind of substances they are using in product as well as in the processes. So that kind of screening, but yeah, it's a bit difficult because though awareness is getting spread, but still the level of understanding about these is not there. So there, of course, we need to take help of some advanced testing. So we have our own in-house lab, but still it is not so equipped that we can do the this compliance testing. So we are taking some help, from companies like Tata Elxsi and others, and even TUV Sud also. So who has been developing the analytical testing techniques like liquid chromatography or mass spectrometry, which can detect some of the recently highlighted, which are recently highlighted for or included in REACH compliance as well, those kind of substances. So we are using that or those techniques or testing equipments for the identified or the prioritized material list that we see or foresee could be a potential hazard for users.
Sure. Thank you, Ganesh. So I see there is always a focus on performance without compromising the overall quality of the product. Be it any industry, it is relevant to all the industries. And we are also seeing clients use PFAS specific protocols like chemical fingerprinting and migration test to not only identify the PFAS, but also try to go further and see what alternatives are possible, right? So, just moving beyond the lab, I think I will ask Matt this question that supplier transparency is crucial, and JLR is already working towards full PFAS compliance, and your goal is to be compliant by 2030. How are you ensuring accurate reporting and proactive collaboration across your supplier network?
Yeah, thank you. So I think the the automotive industry is incredibly lucky because of the previous regulatory challenges we faced. So in about 2000, we developed a system called the International Material Data System, IMDS abbreviated. It's abbreviated to. And that system is designed to report substances of concern from the material producers all the way up the supply chains to the various tiers to the OEMs. And it's used by all the suppliers along the chain. So we are able to track what is reported in IMDS. Some of the problems that we've got, we're looking at extreme low levels of PFAS according to some of the regulatory requirements. So detection limits down to 25 parts per billion is an extreme challenge. So suppliers will need to do some work to see how they're impacted, and then to update all their IMDS data so we can identify the end components that contain those data. But we've got really good collaboration. It's not just the JLR initiative, it's a whole automotive supply chain. So working with our colleagues in ASEA and CLEPA, JAPIA, JAMA, it's a real global initiative. We bring the suppliers along with our journeys. We have regular calls with them at trade association levels, looking at the legislation, looking at the problems of complying with the legislation, and also helping identify where all the challenges for the automotive industry rely. But our whole compliance system relates around accurate reporting in IMDS, and then following that up with suppliers, talking about substitution. So yeah, we're in a better place than a lot of other industries that don't have this system, but we're still not in a perfect place. I think Thomas highlighted problems with process chemicals. These are not covered in IMDS, so you still need to have that dialogue with your supply chain so they understand where they're impacted and potential knock-on implications to your end product as well. So IMDS provides probably 90% of the data. It doesn't provide 100% of the data. So you still need those discussions with supplier.
That's still powerful, that how you have achieved, data around your suppliers and how you are able to correlate the data to the presence of any hazardous material or substance of concern. And at Tata Elxsi also, when I talk about our comprehensive PFAS support services, we do emphasize on supplier engagement. We have our supplier quality engineers who are well equipped with talking to the suppliers, spreading the awareness on PFAS, making them understand that why we are asking this data, and enabling our customers to get the data faster and move to PFAS compliance. And through this, we also flag the non-compliant entries, or we also try to do a risk scoring based on if a supplier is going to phase out or they are no longer going to manufacture the PFAS related material, what are their timelines, and how it is going to impact your supply chain in terms of bringing your product to the market. This saves significant manual effort while ensuring the audit readiness if you all have the data ready at the platform or in the form of a dashboard, right? So I would move to Thomas, and I would like to ask you that RRC Power Solution has also navigated complex supplier landscapes. What best practices or tools have you adopted to validate supplier data and maintain PFAS transparency across your supply chain? Thomas, if you are on mute.
Oh, sorry. So yes, now it's better. So coordinating across a complex supplier network, it's definitely one of the more demanding aspects of the PFAS compliance. So like many companies, we are already managing a broad range of material compliance requirements and gather other information from the supply chain, like conflict minerals, and now for the new battery regulation and so on. And PFAS has added definitely another significant layer to this. So it's so one of the best decisions we made early on was to partner with an external compliance expert that that offers us in software infrastructure and regulatory expertise. This helped us to scale up our data collection and the validation efforts much faster than we could have done it internally. So in practice, this means we have implemented a centralized platform for requesting, receiving, and reviewing supplier declarations. And this includes PFAS-specific data also as for REACH and other regulations. So what's important is that it's not just a document drop-off. It's a system that supports follow-ups, clarification loops, data quality checks, and beyond the technical setup, we also apply some core best practices. So we clearly prioritize materials and components based on the risk assessment. We communicate proactively with the supplier, not just when the regulation changes. We provide guidance, support, especially for smaller suppliers who never have heard from PFAS or something else, and are not fully prepared. So ultimately, the combination of the right tools, a structured process, and a clear supplier engagement has been the key to maintaining transparency in our case, even in a very diverse sourcing landscape.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. That really helps. And I think around that, this is where our vital solution really shines, because the platform that we have built, it not only reads the bill of material, be it how much ever complex it is, but it was also equipped to read through or scan through the supplier declarations, material safety data sheets, FMD documents that are provided by the suppliers, and it can specifically identify any PFAS related material if it is present in those documents. It also recommends any types of follow-ups, and it essentially acts as your compliance co-pilot basically. And through Vital, what we have also achieved is that reaching out to suppliers, waiting for their responses is a very time consuming process. So through Vital, what we are doing right now is using the data that is already present within your PLM system. We do a first level identification that eliminates a lot of suppliers from your reach out plan, because the data is already present with you, which is enough for the platform to identify the presence of PFAS. So then, for example, if you have 1,000 suppliers, you might need to reach out only to 300 suppliers where the data is not enough. For other 700, you already have the data. So you can reduce the supplier reach out to a considerable amount, like 30-40% or 60% in some cases. So that is where we can talk about technology further. And Ganesh, I would like to ask you, have you seen AI or digital tools to enhance PFAS transition planning, whether in material innovation or compliance forecasting?
Yes, AI definitely have a big role to play here. But it's all about data collection. And as you said, right,
Ganesh, your mic, there is an issue. We
can
cannot
you hear
hear.
me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you, but there is a pitching noise.
Okay, is it still there? Not sure.
Yes, it is still there.
Not sure what's the issue. Actually, network is good. Let me try again. Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes, it's better now.
Yeah.
So I'll just repeat the question. So now we can talk about technology. Have you seen AI or digital tools enhance your PFAS transition planning, whether in material innovation or compliance forecasting?
Yeah, of course. I see AI definitely have a big role to play here, as we are dealing with a lot of data collection, screening of material declarations, working with thousands of suppliers and at multiple sites. So I see screening part itself, and as I said, we are trying to prioritize because it's not easy to handle the data across all the sites. It is not easy to handle all supplier declarations and check each and everything. So AI would definitely take us from again, it's now reactive, but we would like to get into a proactive mode or where we can do predictions. So for that also data collection and at the stage where we are, this would definitely help as we are screening the data, doing the risk assessment, and we are understanding what materials and what compliances also getting evolved. So tracking both the things and understanding the nature of problem or understanding the nature of PFAS content in the materials would be easy, and using AI tools, machine learning, which would give us insights and predictions, even for like new assignments or new projects which are upcoming through the data available and through the data collection. So the PLM systems which are in place, they are there to collect the data, but then that data needs to be further used for consolidation and getting to know the problem or the cause of it, whether it is a process or material content or so, and then feeding that information for future prediction or forecasting, as you said, would definitely be helpful. So from reactive to predictive is what I see a transition would be required, and that would AI would bring that, and we are taking steps towards that for sure.
Thank you, Ganesh. And that's exactly the direction the industry is heading towards. And our vital solution, it offers a proactive regulation mapping, early detection of compliance deviations, and it also enables hassle-free reporting as it is required by different geographies in different formats and different type of reporting considering different timelines, and it can also point out where you need to do testing to gather further data to complete your reporting process. So it's a regulatory intelligence that is made actionable for you to define your roadmap for your industry. So lastly, going back to Matt, in your search for PFAS alternatives, have you identified materials that balance performance, safety, and sustainability, especially in critical automotive components?
Yeah, so I mean, it really is a challenge. We're identifying a lot of substitute materials. Whether we can get that successful balance of matching the performance, matching the safety, matching the or even being more sustainable, it's been a challenge. We're looking at alternative refrigerants where we can start to get similar levels of performance that will meet our requirements, but these are potentially more explosive. So we've got further safety requirements that we need to build into the systems, and things like that that occupy a very limited space in a vehicle present significant challenges to our engineers to try and fit a larger system into a smaller box, so to speak. So yeah, our engineers are doing a lot of work with their suppliers, trying to meet these challenges, and some of these will lead to architectural changes of how we do it in the system. We're looking at secondary loop systems for aircon now, to get the same performance while managing the safety aspect of a more flammable flame retardant, refrigerant.
Okay. So I think that is where all the product manufacturers across the globe can draw parallels, take insight from cross industry and start your R&D from there. Maybe that can help. And that is why Tata Elxsi is curating a material alternative library. It is enriched by AI with regulatory context, bringing in the test results and performance comparators. So that will help to build a cross industry information exchange. Like automotive industry can give insights to a medical device manufacturer or vice versa, or you can bring in the expertise of material replacement from a cosmetics or a pharmaceutical to textile, from textile to automotive. So this exchange of information can really be helpful, right? So going ahead, how do you see cross-industry collaboration helping accelerate PFAS phase-out and improve readiness for upcoming chemical regulations like universal PFAS ban proposals? And this is an open question I'm addressing to all four of you, all three of you, sorry, fourth one is myself. You can please pitch in for the answer.
Okay, thank you. I believe cross-industry collaboration will be essential to meet the growing complexity and speed of the chemical regulations, especially with the proposed universal PFAS ban. So first, no company has full visibility or control over every component in the supply chain, and many of us working with shared suppliers. When companies align or expectations, terminology and data requirements, it makes the entire system more efficient for manufacturers and the entire supply chain. So in our case, we have been able to leverage existing processes and systems originally built for other material compliance topics like REACH, TSCA, or conflict minerals. That gives us a head start to allow us to integrate PFAS into a broader, already established compliance framework, rather than treating it as an alone challenge. Second is the collaboration helps accelerate the development and validation of PFAS-free alternatives, especially in electronics and technical materials. You all know this, replacements cannot just be safe. They also have to meet performance and reliability standards. And that's sometimes the best tackled through industry consortia and shared testing initiatives. And finally, we also have to share lessons learned, what works, where are the gaps, and how to engage suppliers efficiently. For our part, we are not only tracking regulatory developments, but we are actively building internal process and systems that are adaptable for future restrictions. So in that sense, preparing for the PFAS ban is also an opportunity to raise the overall maturity of material compliance across all industries.
Sure.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think I'd like to add, with the cross-industry aspect of it, you only have to look at the way the European Chemicals Agency is doing its evaluation of the PFAS restriction. They've divided EU industry into various sectors. So the automotive sector will come into comes under the transport sector with planes, trains, automobiles, ships, etc. It's quite a wide-ranging sector, but there are so many other uses that are cross-sector uses, and this just highlights, how much everyone is using the same materials, the same, faces the same challenges. So it's not just one industry. So we really need to make sure the solutions fit for all industries. So there has to be some collaboration there, and it's a really interesting discussion and some really interesting challenges that we need to solve.
Sure, definitely. I think cross-sector collaboration is really important in the time where a single material is being used anywhere and everywhere on the globe, and everybody is searching for an alternative. So, yeah, that cross collaboration will really help. Ganesh, do you want to add anything over here?
So I see this is a common challenge across industries.
Ganesh, your mic is again echoing.
Okay, is it better? Maybe I'm just trying to be still. I don't know how it worked last time. I didn't do anything, still it worked. So, is it better, or I'm just adjusting the distance? That's it.
It's
Nothing
echoing.
else. Is it still?
Yeah.
Okay, let me know if it is better.
Now it is fine. Now it's better.
Okay, great. So I see it's a common challenge, okay, across all industries. There are specific challenges with the different industries, but I see just beyond the compliance, it's a challenge for a community, with which is leading towards an hazardous chemical getting into our body and deteriorating our health. Right? So this needs to be addressed through technology, through R&D initiatives, and it needs a good amount of investments, right? And it needs collaborations across industry, across universities, across all platforms, which would help us to drive this. So just saying a ban is not going to help us. It's what we can do to come out of it and find out alternatives. Either it is just like, alternative materials or even degradation technologies, which can be also a sort of solution. So we need to
Sure.
look at more from that perspective. Need innovation in this field. Need use of AI techniques and all other things. Which can help us to streamline or to understand, make a structure which can help across industries to determine the hazardous materials or the contents and strategies to take it out or make it possible to degrade them or make it less impactful for human beings to use.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ganesh. And before we wrap up, I think I want to quickly highlight a few key insights that we discussed in today's session. That we need to treat PFAS restriction as a business risk and opportunity. PFAS detection is not one size fits all. It requires a tailored approach for each industry or each company, I would say. We have to future proof our operations by embracing chemical transparency. We have to build resilience into the supply chain with non toxic alternatives and circular practices. And lastly, AI, when applied wisely, it can drastically cut down our time, cost, and human error into compliance of PFAS or any other materials of concern. So I would like to thank you, Matt, Thomas, and Ganesh for your valuable insights. And I think JLR, RRC Power Solutions, Drager, and Tata LIC, we are really proud to be at the forefront of this shift that we are discussing about this. And we are really thinking forward for a cross-industry collaboration. Thank you, all of you, for bringing the valuable insights. And thank you for everyone who joined us in this session. Be sure to stay connected for our upcoming digital playbook on PFAS compliance. Until then, stay safe, stay informed, and stay ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rohit.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.